to home on the hill. It's Saturday, it's the 2nd of May. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon, I think. And I've just been working in the garden and the veggie plot, and I thought we'd have a look round and see how stuff's coming on. I've actually been doing loads of gardening because obviously, we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic and the government orders request to stay at home. So I'm working from home, which I did quite a lot anyway, but I'm full-time at home at the moment, but I'm still working full-time. But I'm also preparing to drop down to 4 days a week from mid-May, which has been something that's been on the cards a long time. It's not related to the COVID situation at all. But what that means is, so I used to work full-time, but I'd actually do longer days every day, so that I could get a day off every 4 weeks by building up enough hours. And because I won't need to do that anymore, because I'll be off every Friday, I'm actually working shorter hours, so I'm spending more time in the garden, which has been great. So I thought we'll start off here at the greenhouse, and the first thing we can see kicked out here in these red boxes, and also in some pots over there. These are my dahlias, which are hardening off. So the ones in the red boxes have been overwintered in the greenhouse, and I'm particularly pleased with these. So what I've done before, there are some dahlias, some of these belong in the naked garden, which is south facing and nice slopes, and I've left stuff in there before over winter and just covered it with straw, and I got away with it a couple of years, but actually more times than not they died. I think, and especially we've just had such a wet winter, that would probably have killed them off. So I haven't actually tried to overwinter dahlias before. So that's obviously been a big success, although obviously it was not a cold winter. So yeah. And then these ones are some new ones that my husband bought, so I don't really know what they are, but that's no problem. I shall stick them down there in the veg plots as sort of flowers for cutting. So it doesn't matter that if the colour scheme doesn't match, because as cut flowers they'll be fine. So going to the greenhouse. Now what I've been trying to do this year, I've tried to be really organised. So I've got myself a diary. It's Earth Pathways diary, which is a lovely thing of lovely poetry and images and everything. And I'm using that to kind of plan everything and also record everything that I do. So that next year, so one thing I've learnt, for example, is that I sowed some spinach in February and it was 6 weeks before it was ready to plant out. And I just didn't know those kind of timescales before. I would have guessed it was maybe that long, but now I actually know. Anyway, what we've got in here ready to go in. So there's some spinach there, there's some already in the garden, but it goes to seed quite quickly, especially as we get towards summer solstice. So that's what that is. That's my sweet corn just getting going there. I'll probably pot that on into bigger pots and it'll stay in here quite a long time. Probably won't try and put that in the ground till about July. My husband bought lots of bedding plants. So we've got lots of geraniums, lots of fuchsias. I don't know if he's planning to keep all those. I'm sure he'll give some away, but we'll see. And this is my tomato collection down the middle here. So these are getting to be a good healthy height now. So I was supposed to be doing today actually a plant swap, but obviously all these things have been cancelled. But yeah, when I'm ready to plant these out, I know my kids want some, and I'll probably sort of try and liaise with people online and pass some of these on. So yeah, that's my tomatoes. Down here, not yet coming up, I've got lots of beans and also lots of squash, which I love. Some salad there, that's probably just coming to the end, but the stuff in the garden's coming on. I tried to overwinter some chilies and it's been a total failure, so they need chucking out. But what is growing down there, this down here, is a cutting I was given of a perennial kale. So and I took the cuttings and I put them in the propagator and bottom heat and everything, and they all wilted and died and it went dreadfully wrong. So I took them out, stuck them down there, and they appear to have got over it, or at least half of them have, 2 out of 4 plants. So that's good news. What have I got up here? Some more bedding plant that Keith bought. A few geraniums that have been overwintered. They're looking rather pretty actually. And then These are all in propagators, but the propagators aren't on at the moment because it's actually been quite warm. So there's loads of courgettes. I don't know what possessed me to plant quite so many courgettes actually, but one of them's coming up anyway. There's some herbs there, some basil, some calendula, and this here is, there's some chilies we can see, and quite a lot of these are leeks which are just starting to grow. So yeah, they're being a little slow actually, but we shall see where that goes. I think it was Charles Dowding, maybe it was Charles Dowding, maybe it was Garden Organic, but anyway, some advice was to kind of grow your leeks in these clumps and don't bother to try and thin them out, just put them together in clumps. I think it was Charles Dowding actually. So there might actually only be 4 or so seeds in each pot. Anyway, we'll see. I struggle to grow leeks and we really like them, so that's something I'm really trying to improve on, and that's part of this kind of recording and taking real careful notice of what I do. So yeah, we'll see how we go on with that. So let's just step outside, and I was going to show you some bits I've got going on in my shed. So this is my potting shed. It's quite full, but yeah. The reason there's a bag on my stool is because the roof leaks. I haven't got round to fixing it, so it just keeps when I come in here I can sit in the dry. So there's a bin here and there's nothing in it at the moment, but what I've been doing is putting all my pernicious weeds into there, and then what I do every couple of weeks, so I've got a spare wheelie bin over there by the bees and it's sort of above the compost heaps, and I put the pernicious weeds in the wheelie bin. So that's actually a council green bin. They used to collect them for free, and when they collected them for free we had 2 bins, but now we have to pay, and you pay per bin, so I only pay for 1 bin. So oh, delivery, how unusual. Yeah, you only pay for 1 bin and you put a sticker on it, so that's why that's a spare bin. So I put the pernicious weeds in there, I fill it up with water, I sit it there for 2 weeks until it goes rotten, and then I tip it onto the compost heap. And I started doing that because I was concerned that the council might stop the green bin collections as non-essential. They haven't actually done that, they are still collecting them, but I've been meaning for years to get on top of this, dealing with my own pernicious weeds on some level, so that's what that's about. And then the other thing I've got going on down here, just move that, is some comfrey in a bucket. So I actually got round to cutting my comfrey from my comfrey patch, cut a good chunk of it, a bucket full, and it's just all bunged in a bucket with some bricks on top, and that will rot down, and some of it should turn to thick black smelly liquid which I shall use to feed my tomatoes. So that's what's going on there. It's only been there a few days though, so yeah, we can see up there, that's the comfrey patch where the comfrey came from. This is my sort of propagation bench, quite a few bits and pieces on there, a lot of which will be going to new homes. The herbs is a bit of an issue. They came free. I got them free from the National Herb Centre, which was very generous of them, and they were for a project in town trying to renovate a herb bed that the council put in and then kind of haven't kept on top of, and it was part of the Transition Town project to work on that herb bed. So I've got these plants, and of course, well, I could go and plant them, but the thing is as well, the council then decided that as people working on the bed, they'd put some money into it and they'd change it over to raised beds and stuff, so there's no point planting the herbs because it's supposed to be raised beds. But that was supposed to be done by now, but obviously all that work's been stopped because all the council gardeners are doing other stuff. I think they're running the food bank actually, so I don't really know what's going to happen with those. At the moment I'm kind of thinking I might just plant them myself and put some money in the pot, and we'll buy some new ones when we get to that point. I don't really know. Anyway, let's have a look at the veggie plot and see if I can remember what's going where. So, oh, here's a bit I'm rather pleased with. So this is my lettuces, and there's some spinach in there as well. The net's on it to keep cats off. Again, spinach is something I've struggled to grow but I'm really pleased with how this is going. I've got some more coming on in the greenhouse because it will go to seed as we get nearer the summer solstice. Again, it was Charles Dowding said he only sows lettuce and such 3 times a year and push it out and cut and come again. I've probably sown a bit more than that. So the first lot, the stuff we saw in the tub in the greenhouse, that was done in January. Then I did some more in February, a lot of which didn't make it, but probably half of this is the stuff I did in February. So then, because a lot of that died, I think I let it dry out basically. I re-sowed, so I guess this is all my first sowing. And then that end's just covered in straw, and I've got some volunteer potatoes there and some bindweed coming through, but ultimately I will clear and tidy that to put more lettuces in, which I haven't even sown yet. So I think I've got in my diary to sow those around the end of May. So yeah, the straw's just there to keep the weeds down. And this is another weedy patch, which I will probably sort this out tomorrow actually. I've been doing some work in this veg garden today, but I haven't got to here. That's where the leeks are supposed to go, assuming the leeks ever get big enough. So we shall see. Might sow some more, see how that goes on. Anyway, this is a space for beans, which I've sown in the greenhouse. They're not up yet, but that's okay. It's only the 1st of May and they can't go out till the end of the month. But I'll get my bean poles up very shortly. The other side, that is going to be where my courgettes go. And so to that end, I got a load of really lovely horse muck off a friend in the local permaculture group. Unfortunately, I can't really go and get any more, but I did manage to get some on that bed. So that's a load of horse muck covered in straw, which will be for the courgettes, again towards the end of the month. This is my potato bed. These were planted Easter or the weekend before. Anyway, we can see some of them are just starting to show, so they're the first earlies on this end, just starting to come through. So that's good news. There's a bed here covered in Aquilegia and these sticks, which the sticks mark where the dahlias are going to go. So a few more weeks just to make sure we're past the danger of frost, and I'll put those dahlias back out here, and that's for cut flowers. This bed is destined to be more beans, so yeah, that just needs a bit of clearing, tidying, and put the bean poles up. And then what I've done today, I've weeded the spuds. They had a bit of bindweed in them, not very much. And then I've weeded basically these 2 beds with the soft fruit in and put the nets on. So this is blackcurrants, and we've got an underplanting there. There's some, I think it's oregano or marjoram, it's lovely anyway, and lots of calendula seedlings. So yeah, they should grow up and attract some pollinators in. I'm not sure that's going to work actually, because the calendula obviously are not flowering yet, and I think the blackcurrants have already been pollinated and are starting to grow fruit. But anyway, it will look good. And this is red currants. These are looking really good. Lots and lots of fruit hanging on those, which is brilliant. And I've got an underplanting there of poached eggplant, which you can just see. See if we can zoom in. See one flower in there. I think it's focusing on the net more than the plant. What can you do? Yeah, anyway, that's all poached eggplant, which I'm hoping will self-seed and spread itself all along. And then I've also had hoed these paths, but it clearly wasn't good enough because I've just weeded them all as well. So all the calendula self-seeds in the gravel. It absolutely loves the gravel. And, you know, you kind of think that's great, let it grow, but then you end up, like by autumn, I'm walking through here and it's like knee, waist high in calendula. Not what you want, so I've decided to weed all that out anyway. So I've weeded those 2 beds today. Oh, the other week, this is my strawberry bed, and I filled the gap with some runners I saved from last year. So I'll get the net on here tomorrow. I just need to bring it down from the garage, and I can't be bothered to walk up to the garage and back today, but I'll get the net on there because the strawberries are starting to come and I want to keep the birds off them, and also weed these paths. This is looking particularly good, so I put these in last year. These are globe artichokes, which I love. Rest of my family not so keen, but I've just decided to grow them anyway because I like them. So these are looking really good. This one down here, we can actually see one of the flowers beginning to form. So there's 4 plants in there, and yeah, by late June they should be up over my head, I hope. This bed here is a bit of a mess, to be honest. It was supposed to be my perennial bed, so I'd put some rosemary in there because it was spare and didn't know what to do with it, and it's died. I think it's too dark and damp for it here, so I need to get that out. Some Jack by the Hedge is self-seeded and I've left it there because it's quite tasty. Sorrel, absolutely loads of sorrel, and we just don't eat that much. I put the odd leaf in salad, but not really sure what to do with that. So I think what I'll do is I'll move some of it into the forest garden, and then I've got a bit of rhubarb in the end, and I really like rhubarb. And the other thing with rhubarb is it's brilliant biomass for adding to the compost. The huge leaves, but you know, even if you don't eat all the rhubarb, just chop it and put it on the compost. So what I'm thinking of doing with that bed later this summer is I'll move some of the sorrel to the forest garden, rip everything else out, and put a lot more rhubarb in there. So that's what's happening there. So I think that's all the beds talked about. So yeah, that's where I am with my veggie garden, and I shall do some more tidying tomorrow.